Hey guys, thanks for checking out another video. I am Tom from the Geek Culture Podcast at geekculturepodcast.com. As you guys know, we are also a real podcast where you can find us on iTunes and on Stitcher, as well as many other social media sites. All right, but let's get into this. You are here to check out the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Age of Ultron Build-A-Figure line of Hulkbuster. Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure line. There are quite a few figures in here, and there is one duplicate, so if you paid attention, you will know that after I show you all these figures very briefly, we are going to open them up, talk about them, and at the end we're going to build Hulkbuster, which, by the way, is a monster of a figure. But we are going to start right now with the duplicate, which is Marvel's War Machine. There were two of them in the box that I got, so we're just going to open this guy up, pick him apart, and kind of judge him up. So here we go. This is him. This is Marvel's War Machine. All in all, right to the point, this figure is pretty cool. Really nice paint, really nice mold. He's actually really similar. I think there's one more Legends War Machine that I don't have, and that's from the Galactus Build-A-Figure line. But I do have the Select War Machine, which is kind of cool. I got to kind of put them side by side and see that there's a bunch of things that are really, really similar. Like he's got obviously the gun on his back that you can move from right to left. There's some lettering and decal stuff on his shoulders and on his arms that are fairly similar too, like the U.S. sign. He's got one closed fist, one open fist, but it also says the FF445 program on his upper right shoulder, which is kind of cool. The center plate is the same, and the paint on the right-hand side on his left arm is the same too. Not a hard figure to stand. His feet are fairly articulated and detailed. Bottom of the boots, which you guys know I'm a big fan of, that they go all the way to the bottom of the boots. If you're into customizing figures, I could really see having maybe two open hands. I don't know. I really wanted to try to pull his hands out and see if this was something that would be possible, but I did not. So hit me up in the comments if you guys do customizing figures, and I could really see this guy being a lot cooler with like two open hands, one far, one close. You know what I'm saying? The other thing is that there's a detachable head, another head. So you guys can see Rhodes here with his second head, open faceplate. Really, really awesome sculpt on this though. Looks like a little person in there, like the mouth, the nose. I'm trying to get it so you guys can see it. It's insane. One of the better face sculpts I've ever seen before. So as much as I like a closed mask, this head is really, really cool, and I'm super into him. He looks really good, really clean and really detailed, and the paint is awesome on his face too. Really good color. All right, on to another. Let me pull this guy out. Right now we are looking at Thundra. Now, I will say first and foremost, this is, yes, a female character. As you can see, her belt does come up. Guys, she is fairly easy to stand up. I really like the accessory, the ball and chain. Not hard to stand, not hard to configure. The design of the chain and the ball is a little weird, so you have to make it almost look like she's throwing it or it's about to hit the ground or lay on the ground. But I like her ab crunch. Her mold's really good. She looks super beefy, and she's got that hard hair, kind of like the Spider-Woman does, which I'm into this time. It's not all the way off to the side. It's centered over her body, so it doesn't make it hard to balance her, especially with the abs and the hand and the accessories. So all in all, really tight figure. Paint's pretty clean too. There's a design that runs up her leg. You can see right there, looks really good. And also the paint that's on her arm for her cuffs, really cool. There's not a lot of head movement though, but on the back side of her, where the ab crunch is, it's like a completely separate piece, and it works really well that they painted like her top different than just the generic like ab that goes from her top to her torso section. So I'm really into it. Really cool looking figure. Really easy to pose. One of my favorite female characters that I've unboxed so far and set up. All right, and we are on to another fearless defender. This time we're going to be talking about Marvel's Valkyrie. As you guys can see, she is not having the hardest time standing up, and for a female figure, that is pretty awesome. I feel like it's maybe time that Marvel started to listen, and they are. The one thing you guys will notice while moving this figure around, lots of joints, tons of double joints, elbows, knees, twists for twist for her hips and legs, and she's got the ab crunch too. Now she's got this belt that does not move off of her. It looks like a separate piece, but it does look glued. Her head is pretty easily detachable, which it happened more than once during the course of me moving this. So I actually had to film it a couple times. But she's a good looking figure. The paint on her arms for her braces are pretty good. The belt is incredible. I love this textured paint that they started to use. And she comes with an accessory. She comes with this awesome sword. Be careful pulling the sword out of the package, guys. It's a pretty flimsy sword. There's not a lot of toughness to it. It's not really stiff. So, and I feel like the handle's a little lame too. But the paint on her hair and the mold on her face is insane. Hopefully, you guys can get a good enough look at her. But she is an extreme badass looking figure and really, really well molded. They're really starting to take pride in these what I call filler figures, but Valkyrie is not that. She stands alone as a very cool female figure. All right, and now on to Marvel's Now Iron Man. I feel like this mold is really similar to the Thanos Iron Man. Obviously different paint. Maybe the abs inside are a little different, but I feel like once you get one Iron Man, you got them all because you're dealing with Iron Man. I mean, come on. His paint's really cool though. As I said before, this flake gold, this flake color stuff is really cool. You can see here I'm dealing with these shoulder pads, and I feel like this is the first time that they've been really loose, but they do come off quite easily. Moving arms and stuff around. They have fallen off before while posing this. His hand is really cool. We're dealing with the one closed on right and the one open on left. The armor that runs up into his suit is really cool looking on this guy though. I feel like the black must mask a lot of the kind of the transition, so he looks pretty much seamless as far as a figure goes. And it's pretty cool. There's a lot of movement in his arm. Definitely allows you, if you have like a flying stand, he's perfect for that. As you can see, his boots are really super articulated too, much with the War Machine. His head movement's all right too, not a lot. Moving forward, just enough. But definitely cool looking figure. Definitely a lot of movement with his arms, and not hard to stand at all. Big buckled knees for articulation in legs, make him really easy to stand, really easy to pose. He does have an ab crunch underneath his center mass, so it's cool. Really good looking figure, easy to stand, super posable, good paint. Cool. Here we are. We are on to Vision. This is my first Vision figure. I know that there were a couple other early, I think early Toy Biz, Marvel Hero, Vision figures, and this is he is so cool looking. I really dig his open hand, that mentalist hand. I could really do without the fist. It doesn't really look crazy, but I do like his head, that it goes all the way up. I was just saying with this Iron Man figure, it doesn't go far enough up, but this Vision head's got so much movement from the back of his head being up so high that you can get a flying stand and make this figure look awesome. Now his cape is detachable, and it does have that same Bucky cap hole for the back. And the cape wraps around, so it's not going anywhere. It's not falling off. He's got this crazy green metallic paint, almost like two-tone, because the chest doesn't match the abdomen section, but definitely done on purpose. His knees are way much more dark green than his upper body, and I feel like his his calves are a completely different green too. So almost like three-tone green colors. The yellow does match the cape, but I don't really understand why they would have painted something on top of having a cape. It almost looks like clunky, kind of cheesy. His face it's Vision's face. You can see the stone in the middle of his head right there. It's kind of cool. There's not a lot going on to the rest of his head. I feel like they could have done a little bit more of a mold for his head. But I mean, he is what he is. And having this be my first Vision figure, I can't say that I'm really disappointed with him. That open hand gets me though. I feel like that's really it defines Vision as a character, and I like him. I like him a lot. Cool. Now we are on to Doctor Strange. Also, my first Doctor Strange figure. I really like the way he looks. You guys are going to notice I'm playing with these things. I had a really hard time getting them in here. For a while, I thought you had to put them through that smaller hole. I tried to get them in there, and it almost broke. I almost broke that thing. So if you just push those green things up a little bit further on his wrists, they do stay perfectly still, and you can make them stay in the orientation that you really want them. Not a hard figure to stand either. He's got this really cool. I feel like all these Marvel figures are really starting to look like they're standing in wind tunnels. They're adding these already molded action areas. The hands are kind of cool. I figured for a Doctor Strange though, he might come with more hands, but he doesn't. He only has his he's only got that. So it is what it is. The paint on him is pretty cool though too. And you guys can see that belt does come off. I was just going to talk about it. That belt is actually pretty cool as it flows all the way down and touches the back of his cape too. Makes him look really, really seamless. There's not a lot of detail in that part though. There's more detail in his face. Definitely just using molds from other guys, except for I don't know his gloves that go halfway up his arms are really, really cool looking too. And his feet are pretty generic. Paint's all right. Very, very monotone with that blue all the way down. Pieces of his red cape. As far as accessories, I'm not really crazy about these, but they do fit the figure. And I feel like you could get worse as far as Marvel accessories go. But there we go. Doctor Strange. All right, and we are on to Marvel's Blizzard. Blizzard is a figure, and that's exactly what he is. I'm guessing mostly borrow molds. I was really pissed about this. If you guys are saying this part keeps falling out, so be careful opening up Marvel's Blizzard if you do have him, or if you're going to get him, because that piece can fall on the floor very easily. There's nothing to clip him in. Blizzard stands up, and he moves. Besides that, there's not a lot going on in this figure. He does have the Bucky cap back, so you do see the hole in the back. I'm not really a huge fan of that. I feel like there's other alternatives besides being lazy and using stuff from other figures. Now, he does have that same Vision head where it goes very far back, and I'm all about it. I really like that there's a lot of movement to him as far as a figure. I don't like that there's not a lot of thought in him as a figure. He's mediocre as far as a figure goes. He's pretty generic. When you do buy him, mine was fairly loose on his leg attachment to his hip. You guys can see him moving back and forth right here. So not really thrilled about him as a figure. And then on top of it, I feel like he was a really shoddy made figure for me. Not hard to stand, but pretty cheesy and pretty lame as far as a line figure goes for this. I don't know if there's other Marvel Blizzard figures, but this might be, and hopefully will be, the only one I've ever picked up, or will ever pick up, ever. All right, and we are on to building Hulkbuster. There are a ton of parts for this guy. This reminds me of an old wave, and you can see his legs are massive to begin with. I had to put everything a little bit further out on the recording mat. But he is a very, very huge figure. There's a ton of parts to him, though, as you guys can see here. So, and I don't like putting together these figures on screen because I always feel like they're always out of frame or they're always a little finicky. But I just wanted you guys to see how massive this guy is. in regards to my hands and trying to put him together. So right now, all we did was put together his lower torso and his two legs. This part goes here, and I had a big trial with this because I feel like this is new for these huge figures. It might be they're using some sort of new technology. There's like a square peg that you have to put in there, and mine didn't really line up. You guys are going to see his chest, the top part of his torso kind of goes all the way to the left, and it made me really, really nervous. So this is why I don't build figures on camera either. As I'm doing that, a leg will fall off because I didn't click it in all the way. Where these don't really have a click, these are kind of like rubber on rubber, like peg and hole kind of thing. So the legs are really easy to take off. I don't know about this chest though. As you guys can see, I'm getting a little nervous trying to like pull it back and move it forward. But it definitely does move because I can twist it all the way to the left, and then it just won't twist all the way to the right. But here we go. Legs on, bottom torso, and top torso on. There we go. We're trying to bend him. Now he does bend forward to back too. So the articulation on that point is pretty cool as far as a pivot. You can see right there. But it just won't stay. There's nothing that's keeping him to stay. So rather than bending or breaking my bottom torso piece, I'm just going to put him together, and he is going to be a little cockeyed for a bit. I feel like he does loosen up after moving around a little bit towards the end of this. But here we go. His left arm is going on. A little disappointing thing about this figure, putting him together, is noticing that he's got no articulation in his hands. Besides being a monster mold and like pretty cool for this toy, I'm a little disappointed. I mean, you look into early like Galactus, or you look into I can't think of another name for one of those guys. Apocalypse. They had those opening and closing hands, and I feel like it would have added so much more to this figure. But they decided against it. He's got a double joint for his legs and his elbows. The head isn't as limiting as I thought it was going to be for the toy. He does move around quite a bit more than some of the figures from the other lines, the other kind of toys that come up from Hulkbuster. There's not a lot of movement with the head, but the helmet does move quite a bit on here. He's not hard to stand up. He's got really platform feet. So I'm pointing out here, there is no movement with his fingers, but a ton of movement with his helmet. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys most of his articulated points. As I was saying, he does do that forward back ab crunch, but not so much on this left and right for me. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know if your guys is really tight like this, or if you've broken yours. Because I have a feeling that this could be a part that people break. But yeah, check out the back of him too. The mold on him is absolutely insane, and the paint's not bad either. It's pretty generic. We have our Iron Man red. A little bit of the gold parts, but just generally just a really kind of badass figure, only because of his size. He's not in comparison. If you guys have the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Hulk, I feel like they should have made that Hulk bigger, or maybe hopefully they do like a Build-A-Figure Hulk or something monstrous in the future. Even though you could probably use I think it's like the Icon series or Select. The Marvel Select Hulk is pretty monstrous too. But that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this little breakdown unboxing review of Marvel Legends Infinite Series Age of Ultron Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure. Guys, these figures are pretty cool and definitely worth a pickup. So if you're into that, if you guys go to geekculturepodcast.com, you can pick up all these figures directly from Amazon. And we have an Amazon portal on there. You guys can pick up some of these figures. And it definitely helps us get a little bit of a kickback. And you guys get some sweet figures. So besides that, my name is Tom, and I am from the Geek Culture Podcast. You guys, as said before, you can find us on iTunes and Stitcher. And we have a ton of social media. Go check out the links below for all of those. And thank you so much for watching. this review, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.